In this video, I'm going to explain how to add an image to your HTML file. First, I want to take you over to my browser to look at our NCCC homepage. So when I say image, an image could be a .jpg extension file, which is typically a picture such as this one here. Notice these are also pictures. You could also have a .png, which is typically a drawing, such as our logo up here. The other thing you could bring in is a .gif, which typically is an animated image. So any of these could come in as images, but they are stored as separate files on your machine, and you would just point your browser in your HTML to where that file exists and what the file name is, and then your browser is going to find the file and display it on the page. So to do that, I'm going to bring you back over to my notes. You'll need the image tag. It is open bracket, img, close bracket. Notice that there is no closing tag, right? No closing tag because there's no text content in between. What we're going to do instead is use what we call attributes to specify what the file name is, and that's going to go right inside the img tag. So attributes provide a little bit more information about a tag. So in the case of the img, we have img as the tag name itself, and the attributes we are going to use, the first one is src. That's for source. This is going to give the browser the file name. alt is another attribute we can use. This attribute is used to provide a text. It's considered alternate text, so if the image is not found, the text will display instead. It's also used in screen readers. Now, you can also resize your image using two additional attributes. They are called the width attribute or the height attribute. So either of these can be used to resize, or both to resize your image. And again, all of these different attributes would go inside of the image tag. So take a look at the sample syntax that I have down at the bottom of the slide. So I have the opening angle bracket with img space and then my first attribute, which is the src. So it's src equals and then the file name in quotation marks, so surrounded by double quotes. My next attribute is the alternate text, so it's alt equals and then my text is in double quotes. I then change the width and the height, again following the same pattern. So width, width equals, and then 300 in double quotes. So I'm in w3schools and I'm in the file that they use as their default. I'm just going to make my font a little bigger here. And the first step would be to find an image that you want to include. Now, we have some limitations with using w3schools. So the problem here is that it doesn't allow you to upload a file and display a file in your page. Now, that's the normal process for developing web pages. You would identify a file, include it with all of your files, including the code, and then it would pull the image file into your page. So instead of doing that, we're going to use a URL for files, for image files. So come over, open up a new browser, and I'm just going to pick a topic. I'm going to say Grand Canyon. Right, and I want to see images of the Grand Canyon. And so here you see several different images. I'm going to actually click on images and right, and so select one of these. Now it could be any topic that you choose, but select one of these. And now when you click on it in Google, notice that it's going to put it here on the right hand side, and when you hover your mouse over it, you have a size of the image. Now this one's perfectly square. It says 1600 by 1600. So those are pixels, and you can try another one. So let's see, let's take a look at, I don't know, let's take a look at this one. Okay, and this one here, you can see that it is wider than it is tall, right? So you're dealing with the width and you're dealing with the height, and those are the numbers. And so now what you can do is right click on the image, and you're going to select copy image address. What this does for you is it uses the URL of the image, and we're going to include that in our code. So now come over to W3schools, and I'm just going to go ahead and add an image tag as you saw in the previous portion of the video here. Okay, just like that. And inside the image we need two attributes. We need the SRC attribute, which is the source, and we're going to set it equal to, and now here you can paste that address. Okay, so that's the first step. It's going to go out, it's going to find it on the internet, and it's going to include it here. Now, the problem with doing it this way is if the URL ever were to change, your file would not be found. If the image would be taken down off the internet, the file would not be found. All right, so the best practice would be to download the file and then include it in the code. But since we can't do that with this editor here, we're going with the next best thing. Next, the attribute you need is the ALT attribute, and this is alternate text. So here you want to include something that describes, so image of Grand Canyon. Okay, now that I have that done, I'm just going to hit run. And notice that it comes in very large, but there it is. So now you can reduce the size. And if I go back and I told you, you can see the pixel size here. Let's say we just cut this in half. So that's about 2,600. So if I cut that in half, it's about 13. And here, this is about 1,400. So if I cut that in half, it'll be about 700. So let's try that. All right. So place yourself inside the tag. You need the width attribute, and you're going to set that equal to I believe I said 13, sorry, 1,300 pixels. And the height, and again here you can go on to the next line if you need to, but this was half, 700 pixels. Okay, so now when you run, you can see that it changed the size. Now still far too large, so I would reduce this down much further, but you can play around as you're including images to see what would work the best for the image you've selected. Okay, but that method should work for our purposes, so if you have any questions, do let me know.